Hello students, welcome to this series on business entrepreneurship. Today we are going to study the theories of entrepreneurship. In this, we are basically going to cover the various theories related to entrepreneurship and the evolution of theories, the impact of the theories on the society, and how entrepreneurs help in the development of the society in terms of generating employment and other factors of production. The basic definition of entrepreneurship is: entrepreneurship involves not only the process that leads to the setting up of a business entity, but also the expansion and development of an ongoing concern. The study of entrepreneurship is concerned with the entrepreneurial behavior, the dynamics of business set, and the expansion and development. The evolution starts from Adam Smith in 1776. An entrepreneur is a person who acts as an agent in transforming demand into supply. In 1803, Jean-Baptiste said, an entrepreneur is a person who shifts resource from area of low productivity to area of high productivity. According to John Stott, in 1848, an entrepreneur is a prime mover of private enterprise. The entrepreneur is the fourth factor of production after land, labor and capital. According to Carl Menger, in 1871, the entrepreneur acts as an economic agent who transforms resources into products and services. The entrepreneur transforms and gives added value to the products. The evolution of theory also starts with the Joseph Schumpeter in 1934, who said that entrepreneur is an innovator. The economy moves through leaps and bounds, and the prime mover is the entrepreneur through the process of creative destruction. Alfred Marshall in 1936 said, the process of entrepreneurship or business development is incremental or evolutionary. It evolves from sole proprietorship to a public company. According to Abdul Rahman, the entrepreneur is seen as a knowledgeable individual and is instrumental in the development of city-state where enterprise will emerge. According to David McLean, the entrepreneur is a person with high need for achievement. This need for achievement is directly related to the process of entrepreneurship. These were the great thinkers who had basically designed the subject study, and they had put the thoughts together so as to build up the theories for the total study of the subject. The total evolution of the subject is divided into three phases, that is the neoclassical school, the psychological school and the Austrian economic school. We have shown you here three models in these blocks. First is the neoclassical school. This is the fundamental science which attributes people and determines that entrepreneurs can become successful if they have the abilities. Psychological school says that in addition to the fundamental qualities, people must have the ability and the initiative and a kind of innovation to design success. The Austrian School of Economics says not everybody can be an entrepreneur, but it is a process and a combination of certain factors that determine a person to become a successful entrepreneur. Then let's study the theories in terms of the various parameters. First is the sociological theory, divided into the religious theory and the social change theory. We have shown you this diagram. In this is the religious theory of beliefs by Max Weber. We have 6 attributes related to it. First is the spirit of capitalism, that is you need money to grow. Then it is the adventurous spirit, that is you need a kind of adventure to determine the variable business aspects. Then it is the protesting ethic, that is a religious belief in a religion and inculcation of profits in terms so as to earn high. We have the mental attitude, attitude in terms to grow with the profits, and the social status is earned by profits. So basically a society who believes in these attributes of giving status to people according to money value and the religious concern of people in terms of binding together with the society generates or fosters a kind of a feeling to develop entrepreneurship as an art. The sociological theory as a subpart is seen in terms of a theory of social change by Evert Hagen. This says that presentation of the total model in terms of society is important. The social structure and status and perception is determined by the culture of the society. It is the factor of shifting, total initiating changes in terms of processes. It is the rejection of the follower's attitude that you want to become a master, and it is the physical environment that determines the parameters of success. It is the entrepreneurs cannot become entrepreneurs if they are imitating the Western ideas. You need to have solutions in terms of your innovative ideas. We have shown you in this model the 6 parameters governing the success of a person as an entrepreneur. Schumpeter reduced his theory to 3 variables, and he came into perceptions that they have a balance and they are contradictory views in terms of each other. First, he believed that the circular flow of money in terms to maintain equilibrium is genuinely contradicted by a change in the economic routine. That is, a routine kind of a thing when it takes place in the society is contradicted by a kind of a equilibrium or a change. Then we have the static versus dynamic view of the society. We have the entrepreneur versus management view of the society. So this theory reflects all the aspects in which the total factors in terms of innovation, in terms of management, and in terms of the changing dynamics which put an impact on the society. The model of Schumpeter's theory of innovation is shown over here. First, he said that entrepreneurship develops because the entrepreneurs have the ability to design new products. They have the ability to open new markets. They have the ability to carry and invent new organizations. It is the introduction of new goods and services in the society. It is the conquest of the new sources of supply from the market. According to Schumpeter, again, we see in this model that there is a difference between invention and innovation. The entrepreneurship is a kind of a function. It is a kind of a activity created by the entrepreneurs. It is a kind of a dream, and it is a kind of a private ownership designed by the entrepreneurs, which is beautifully shown in this model. According to Harold and Mark, they basically were people who basically designed the classification of the entrepreneurs. We have shown you in this table that basically when you take disease, it emerges as a secular form, then becomes sporadic, then endemic, epidemic, and then pandemic. So these are the stages of evolution of a disease. In same way, the religion emerges from sect to become a church. Ecology emerges from group to become a community. And the normal science emerges from pre-paradigmatic to paradigmatic. So, entrepreneurship emerges from cluster, class to category. So, we have various categories of entrepreneurs which design the study and the subject in terms of theory and in terms of the aspects which need to systemize the science of studies. The entrepreneurship in terms of cultural theory as designed by Huxley says that entrepreneurship grows in religion and in cultural. They are basically impacted by the caste and the place and the region. In terms, you see various regions in Europe, China and India designed by various groups in terms like you have local Hindu groups as Marwadis, Sindhis or other community emerging as entrepreneurs. In Europe, you could see the Jews and the other religious group who support each other and so as to emerge as a community distributing and exchanging goods together. The psychological theory by Peter Drucker says that it is important the entrepreneurship is designed by the values and the ethics. It is the new ventures are created by their dreams. It is the knowledge that is important, and it is the physical resources in terms of availability which dictates the entrepreneurship as a development, and it is the risk ability of the people to take up success in life. It is the abilities in terms of competencies of the people to take up any activity related to business. According to Richard Cantlin in 1755, entrepreneur is a person who undertakes to do a job and the job gives him profits. We have shown you in these 2 blocks. The profit is the kind of the earnings which he earns as profits. According to Morris, the entrepreneurial marketing has 5 forces. It is the customer intensity, resource leveraging, calculated risk taking, sustainable innovation and environmental protection in terms to design the success for entrepreneurship. Now let's study the coordination in terms of the factors which design and evolve the theories. The first is the risk and the uncertainty management behavior, which was basically designed by Richard Cantillon from 1755. This was the basic era from where the study started. He said basically the entrepreneurs exchange result as a result to buy something from uncertain prices and to sell things at a certain price. You have certain raw materials available at uncertain prices, and then when the prices are high in the market, you sell those goods. So in this total process, the survival is of the fittest. You lose entrepreneurs when the losses are there, and when the profits are there in the markets, most of the entrepreneurs grow. But it is only the prospective, intelligent and willing people who take risk and who survive in the total evolution of the market exchange process emerge as entrepreneurs. Then it was Kisner in 1985. He emphasized that successful entrepreneurs merely notice what others have not noticed, and profits are from the exceptional abilities to judge success as an opportunity. Then it is Frank Knight. He said that entrepreneur is a worker. He looks for a job, and when the job pays him more, then he can get it from another opportunity, or an opportunity, then he can himself become an entrepreneur. Then only he will undertake the job. Otherwise, he will lose the job, or he will leave the job and become an entrepreneur himself. These thoughts were evolved in the year 1921. Then we have Gifford in 1998. He said that the entrepreneurs are endowed with the high levels of managerial ability, and they optimally spend their time in operating numerous projects. And in the operation of these projects, there is a kind of an opportunity cost. That is, they are involved in ventures with low profits, leaving projects which have high profits. So the coordination of factors in terms have to be designed. This is by Jean Baptiste in 1828. He said that entrepreneur is a contributor. He has to combine and coordinate various factors. He is an economic force designing, coordinating the various factors of production together. His personal characteristics in terms of judgment and in terms of experience and ability to make decision makes him successful and design profits as he wants. According to Kesson in 2003, an entrepreneur is someone who specializes in taking judgment decisions about the coordination of scarce resources in the market. According to Scampeter in 1934, entrepreneur entails innovation. The entrepreneur does not operate within the conventional boundaries, but he has to take into the technological constraints and emerge with innovative abilities so as to design success with the changes in the market. The Scampeter's words, as an entrepreneur, as an innovator, is responsible for doing new things in a new way. This could evolve as the creation of a new product, the creation of new production, the opening of the new market, the capture of new source of supply, and a new organization of the industry. But according to Labstein in 1968, he said leadership and motivation is important to emerge as an entrepreneur, to bring out the changes of the gradual nature of existing products and process through the combination of new ideas in order to motivate people according to their abilities and design and evolve with the crisis so as to emerge with the market paradigms so as to give you products with high level of success. The personal and psychological traits are important. This thought was given by Barreto in 1989. He also said that the physiological profiling of the entrepreneur in terms of psychological aspects is also important. This has two parts in terms of the trait approach and the construction of the trait approach. The trait approach evolves with the need for achievement, the locus of control and the risk-taking ability, the innovation and the creativity, and the general personality scales in terms related to your emergence of personality as a successful person. The construction of the approach relates to the biased towards the Western culture, the gender biased, and the ethnocentric. So these thoughts basically were designed by Cheel in 2001. They were impacted by his thoughts that basically entrepreneurship is a kind of a innovative design which you individually has to emerge. Any kind of inclination, relation with the society will not help you to grow. It is your inner desire that basically makes you an entrepreneur. Then the psychological profiling of the entrepreneurship in terms of various approaches as designed by Cheel in 1991 says that there are conflicts and difficulties in the total process of evolution of entrepreneur as a person. It starts from the childhood. Maybe a person has lost his parents, or he is facing difficulty in life. He is suffering from poverty, illness, which forces him to take up a kind of a profitable venture. To think about developing entrepreneur in terms of ethical questions arise, which are duly criticized by various other authors. But then there are many other reasons behind the art of becoming entrepreneurship, which is difficult to be studied. We have cognitive studies related to the evolution of entrepreneurs, but the purpose has to focus on the behaviors of entrepreneurs rather than the personalities. It is what behavior makes them success. It is the attitude is important. According to Mitchell in 2002, entrepreneurs have certain characteristics, schemes that allow them to examine the environment and find the existing opportunities. So it is basically a kind of a new thinking and a special thinking that makes them special persons. We have Gartner in 1988 who said, like, focus on what entrepreneurs does and not what the entrepreneur is. The focus is on the actions and the activities rather than on the kind of the focus on what he is. According to Cheel, entrepreneurs are made, they are not born. So it is a kind of a total art which has to be designed by studies and by consultancies and by training institutes. Now, entrepreneurship in action, basically this thought is designed by various authors. We'll just see them. According to Stevenson and Gerillo in 1990, entrepreneurship is a process. It is not an attribute of a person. It is an individual is important in terms to play the game, but it is the team effort is also important. Then according to Handy, the possible stage of any life to become an entrepreneurship is not important. This is the kind of the effort which is generated by the circumstances of the society, which genuinely transform him to a person who handles the businesses at the enterprises. The entrepreneurial process consists of various activities. We have the motivations to make a difference in a person. We have the spotting opportunities to calculate the person in terms of emergence as an entrepreneur. We have the finding of the resources required for this kind of process. We have the determination for showing success. We have to deal with the kind of the obstacles. We have to control the business. We have to manage the risk, use the networks, and then you have to manage the financial and the social capital. So this is the kind of the total process in terms designed by various authors, various thinkers who have contributed to the science of entrepreneurship as a subject of study. Their thoughts have made the evolution an easy process to study. But then we have the concept of social entrepreneurship, which is genuinely a kind of a recent concept giving community a vitality. Now let's see this pyramid. In this we have shown you the social interactions being converted into social cohesion. That is, when people interact, they get connected to each other and a cohesive society is formed. This is a kind of a social capital. Social capital basically gives you the collective efficiency. That is, collective efficiency is involved in terms of the organizing and community abilities. Now let's study the social enterprises as mediating structures. According to Berger in 1977, he said we have to protect individuals from alienation by translating social problems into personal terms. We have to enhance the kind of state legitimacy by connecting public to the problems in terms so as to be solved by private means. That is, the society has to be a mediator in terms to solve the problems of the people. We have to connect the government with the religion, or the church can connect many people in terms to the government so as a kind of a liaison and a connectivity established to come into solutions. You can be less political to more political, depends upon your efforts. The issues from non-profit basis have to be converted into political issues so that the government can design strategies so as to design the success and solution for people. The political theories of social enterprises relate that non-profits counteract to the coercive power of the state. The states have to take legitimate actions so as to give a kind of a issue-based solution to the society. The non-profits provide a space between individuals and states, according to Locke. According to Wright Mills, it is the voluntary associations, they are a force to fragment act of the society. So we have to genuinely transform this concept in terms of a model. The model of association, according to Tocqueville, says we have equality converted into civic association converted into political association, and political association converted to a democracy. So these are the kinds of parameters by which entrepreneurship is designed in terms of social aspects. Social aspects design the social capital. Now let's see what is social capital according to Robert Putnam. It is the network, norms and social trust that facilitates coordination and cooperation for the mutual benefits. According to Francis, it is an institutional informal norm that promotes cooperation between one or two more individuals. It is the synthesis, that is the trust and the social cohesiveness, that promotes giving voluntary and the participative kind of a support in the civil society. So this basic model explains how social enterprises can be connected in terms so as to design the social capital. We have the 4 classical scholars who have designed the total subject in a systematic way. We have Richard Cantillon, who gave thoughts from 1680 to 1734. We have Jean-Baptiste, who gave thoughts from 1767 to 1832. We have Joseph Schumpeter, who gave thoughts from 1883 to 1950. We have Israel Kirzner, who gave thoughts from 1930. So this is the kind of the evolution in terms of basic 4 pillars who had basically designed the subject as a science. Now Richard Cantillon, he said entrepreneur is a risk taker, entrepreneurship is a function. So we have shown you in this model. According to Jean-Baptiste, he said the research is funded or it's supported by knowledge. You cannot do any research without the support of knowledge. You have to apply knowledge to the means of production, and workers have to do the manufacturing process so as to get success in life or to emerge as an entrepreneur. According to Joseph Schumpeter, the entrepreneur is always an innovator. The mechanism of economic creativity is important so as to design the creative destruction. Creative destruction is the emergence of new products so that the existing products become out of use. This is the creative destruction so as to emerge with new solutions and better products and ideas so as to enhance the quality of life. Then it is the people who create enterprises. It is people are important and people are in terms the business is designed by their talents. Then it is the interlocking of new products and new processes and new methods of production which emerge in form of new markets for the solutions which never existed, and this is the kind of the concept by which entrepreneurship emerges. According to Kirzner, entrepreneurship is a kind of opportunity. The entrepreneur is an opportunist. The entrepreneur is alert and he identifies the key opportunities and tries to realize them. Now let's see the impact of the various thinkers in this model. First we have Say and Mill, who said that the entrepreneur has a specific task and a kind of an entrepreneur salary, which is a kind of a profit. According to Cantillon, the entrepreneur is a risk taker. According to Smith and Ricardo, the entrepreneur is a capitalist. According to Joseph Schumpeter, the entrepreneur is the innovator. And according to Marshall Keynes, the entrepreneur is an employer and a decision maker. So this basic model tells you the impact of the various thoughts by the various thinkers who have designed the kind of the abilities of the people in terms of emergence and entrepreneur. Now since 1960s, the entrepreneur has become a subject for the business scholars, and for some countries it has given lot of contribution in terms of designing the cluster form of development or the designing of the societies in such a way that the evolution of total business has been systemized. The total impact in terms of research has been studied, and most of the kind of the calculated abilities have been given to people through training and through consultancy. The theories of technology development and other theories have genuinely designed people to think about systematic sciences and studying them so as to create knowledge, resources and the kind of the ventures required to design the development for the society. The research of various scientists related to various areas is, first is we have Donald in 1930 to 1997. They gave the emergence and the relation of theories of technology development. We have David MacLean from 1917 to 1998 who designed the behavioral research. We have William Gartner from 1953 designing sociology. We have David Bitch and David Story in 1937 and 1947 who designed small business research. So this kind of research is an important parameter for the entrepreneurship as an art to be studied. According to Donald Cohn, the importance of entrepreneurs is like a champion, and they are the champions for technical development. At the outset of the new ideas, facts strong resistant. This could be the dynamic kind of a conversion. That is, whenever there is the outset of new ideas, the society is genuinely faced with a kind of a resistance. To overcome the resistance, we need to become very important in terms of convincing people. So selling goods is important because you have to convince people. The people who represent the new idea work mainly through the informal rather than the formal norms. Technically, one person acts as a change agent and he is the entrepreneur. According to David McLean, the basic question is why societies develop more dynamically than other societies. What is the reason? It is because a society has a need for achievement, and the norms for development are genuinely related for an aspiration and desire to become better. The standard of living of people is genuinely designed by the need for achieving better lives. So it is a kind of a behavioral and an attitude change in people which designs success. According to William Carter, to ask who is an entrepreneur is a fruitless question, but the important thing to ask is how the organizations are created. It means that the entrepreneurs are important to create organization, and organizations are being created by entrepreneurs. It is the entrepreneurs who are responsible for the creation and the invention and the growth of the organizations. According to David Bridge, the job generation process is a pioneering work. The small businesses are important, and they are important part of the society to build jobs and employment. According to David Story, whether a small business is growing or not growing is due to the entrepreneurial ability of the society. The government is important for the development of the small business sector in an economy. There are more differences between the frequencies of the establishment of the new firms in the different regions of the country, because genuinely a country who is rich in the kind of the abilities and support of the opportunities funded by the government develops as an entrepreneurial society. The various aspects of the entrepreneurship studied by the various thinkers show that profit is not a part of entrepreneurship, and it is the kind of the various benefits generated by the entrepreneurship which design the society. Profit is not the only impact, but it is the standard of living, it is the creative ideas, it is the knowledge which design the development of the society. Entrepreneurs are important not only in the market but in all spheres of human activity. They are the important part of the society, related to the human needs, related to the social needs, related to the political aspects, and even in terms to design the democracies of the country. They are important in terms to look after the environment. They are important in terms to look after the social responsibility, in terms to manage the social issues of the society. So entrepreneurship is basically a concept which is deeply designed and imbibed in the values of the societies. Any society without entrepreneurship is a dead society. A society has to be alive with this kind of vibe where the people have the attributes and the kind of the characteristics to emerge as entrepreneurs who are successful in terms of designing employment, in terms of designing opportunities, and in terms of designing wealth for the creation and to give a secured future for the generations to come. Entrepreneurship is an art. Entrepreneurship is a science. It has to be studied, it has to be imbibed, and it has to be practiced in terms. Entrepreneurs are genuinely not born, but they are made. You need a right kind of training in order to design the entrepreneurs in terms of success. Thank you, students.